I want you to recall the feeling of a hard-won victory, the moment the client finally said yes, the day you looked at your bank account and realized the debt was finally gone, the instant you crossed the finish line of a project that demanded everything from you. In that moment, there is a flood of relief, of joy, of a deep and satisfying sense of accomplishment. You feel powerful, capable, like you've finally cracked the code. You have momentum, and you think to yourself, this is it. This is the turning point from which everything will be different. But then, something strange happens. The feeling fades much faster than you expected. The momentum, which felt so powerful, seems to dissipate into thin air, and a few weeks or months later, you find yourself right back where you started, fighting the same old battles, facing the same old struggles, wondering where all that victorious energy went. It feels like your success was a temporary visitor, not a permanent resident. Why does this happen? Why do our victories so often feel like one-hit wonders instead of the beginning of a winning streak? We tend to blame external factors. The market changed, a new problem arose, our luck ran out. But the truth, according to the timeless wisdom of the ages and the scientific observations of Napoleon Hill, is that the cause is almost always internal. It's because of a subtle but fatal mistake we make in the very hour of our triumph. A mistake that, according to our analysis, 9 out of 10 people make, a mistake that guarantees their victory will be temporary. This single mistake is the invisible barrier between a one-time success and a lifetime of achievement. It is a principle so critical yet so overlooked that it was encoded into a powerful parable of success nearly 2,000 years ago. On this channel, we specialize in revealing these hidden laws that govern our reality. If you are ready to learn not just how to win, but how to keep winning, then make the decision to join our community of victors and subscribe now. The parable is found in the story of 10 lepers, 10 men living in the depths of misery. They were social outcasts, their bodies decaying, their futures non-existent. Then, one day, they see Jesus from afar and cry out for a miracle. He responds, and as they are on their way to the priests, they look down and see the impossible. Their skin is clean. They have been healed. This is their victory, a complete, life-altering, monumental triumph over their greatest adversity. 9 of them, understandably, are overcome with ecstasy. They run towards their new lives, eager to reunite with their families, to re-enter society, to enjoy the blessing they have just received. Their reaction is perfectly human. It is perfectly logical. And it is the 90% mistake because one of them, only one, does something completely different. Something that at first glance seems illogical. He stops, he turns around, and he goes back. This story is not just about a physical healing. It is a perfect parable for how we handle success. The 10 men represent 2 different mindsets, 2 different reactions to victory. And the difference in their outcomes reveals a profound secret about how to sustain and multiply our own blessings. What was the critical error the 9 committed? And what was the secret the 10th man understood that unlocked a deeper level of wholeness? To find out, we must follow these 10 men after their miracle, not to judge them, but to learn from the mistake that may be quietly sabotaging your own success right now. Let us now focus our attention on the 9 men who, moments ago, were trapped in a living nightmare and who now hold in their hands the golden ticket to a new life. Their reaction is completely understandable. It is the reaction of pure, unfiltered human joy. They are healed. The prison doors have swung open. Their first overwhelming instinct is to run towards the life they have missed. To embrace the families they have not touched, to reclaim the existence that was stolen from them. On the surface, who could possibly blame them? Their logic is the logic of celebration, of relief, of immediate gratification. And yet, embedded In this perfectly natural reaction is the very mistake that sabotages our own victories. The mistake of the 9 was not that they were happy. The mistake was that they mistook the gift for the source. The moment the miracle manifested in their bodies, their entire focus shifted from the power that had created the healing to the benefits of the healing itself. They turned their backs on the cause and ran to consume the effect. In doing so, they treated the victory not as a milestone on a continuing journey, but as a final destination. And this is the 90% mistake in its purest form, treating your victory as a finish line. Let's translate this into the language of Napoleon Hill and our modern lives. The energy generated by a significant achievement is one of the most potent forces you can possess. It is a surge of confidence, of belief, of momentum. The 9 lepers took this surge of incredible energy and immediately cashed it in, spending it all on the immediate pleasure of their new freedom. How many of us do the exact same thing? We land the big client we've been chasing for months, and what is our first instinct? We relax, we ease up, we take our foot off the gas, believing that this one victory will sustain us. We consume the energy of the win instead of immediately reinvesting it into securing the next win. The person who gets the promotion and then stops doing the very things, the extra work, the proactive learning that got them the promotion in the first place, is making the 90% mistake. Furthermore, the logic of the 9 reveals a subtle but dangerous sense of entitlement. By running off without a word of thanks, they acted as if the healing was something they were simply owed. They took the miracle for granted. This mindset is the silent killer of all long-term success. When you start taking your victories for granted, you stop respecting the process that created them. You lose your humility, you lose your hunger. And the universe, which operates on a law of cause and effect, does not continue to entrust great blessings to those who do not demonstrate appreciation for the ones they have already received. Finally, and most strategically, the 9 cut themselves off from the source of power. In their rush to enjoy the gift, they abandoned the giver. They had a momentary audience with the most powerful force in the universe, a force that had just proven its ability to rewrite their physical reality. And instead of staying, learning, and deepening that relationship, they took the first benefit and ran. It's the equivalent of finding a goose that lays golden eggs, and instead of studying and caring for the goose, you simply grab the first egg and run home to cook it for dinner. You get one good meal, but you sacrifice a lifetime of wealth. This is the 90% mistake. It is the short-sighted, impulsive reaction to success that focuses on immediate consumption rather than strategic multiplication. It is the failure to understand that a victory is not a place to rest, but a platform from which to launch your next endeavor. It is the arrogance of forgetting the source of your success and the foolishness of breaking the cycle of momentum. The 9 lepers ran off into their new lives, and we never hear from them again. They received their healing, but it was a one-time transaction, and so they vanished from history, their potential for a deeper transformation unrealized. But the story now zooms in on the 1, the 10%. The man who resisted the urge to run. What did he know that the others didn't? What did he do? And what was the deeper, more complete blessing he received because of it? The story does not end with the 9 men running toward their new lives. The camera of history now zooms in on the 1, the 10%. The man who, in the midst of his own joyous miracle, made a decision that seemed completely illogical. He stopped. While the others ran away from their past, he chose to run back towards his source. The Bible says he turned back, praising God with a loud voice, and threw himself at Jesus' feet, thanking him. This was more than just good manners. This was an act of profound strategic wisdom. And the response he received reveals the secret to all sustained success. Jesus asks, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? And then he looks at this one man and delivers the deeper blessing. He does not say, "You're welcome." He says, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you whole." Let us analyze these words with the precision of a jeweler. All 10 men were cleansed. The Greek word used implies a physical, external healing. But only this one man, the grateful one, was made whole. The Greek word here is sozo, which means to save, to preserve, to heal, to make complete. This was not just a restoration of his skin, this was a restoration of his soul. His act of gratitude didn't just earn him a thank you, it completed his miracle. It unlocked a deeper dimension of blessing that the other 9, in their rush, forfeited entirely. What the Bible calls faith that makes you whole. Napoleon Hill, through his scientific observation of the world's greatest achievers, identified as the single most important characteristic for lasting success. A positive mental attitude, PMA, and the highest, most powerful form of a positive mental attitude is gratitude. Hill discovered that people who achieve a one-time victory can do so through many means: luck, talent, a single good idea. But the people who achieve victory after victory, who build empires and create lasting legacies, are always, without exception, masters of gratitude. Why? Because gratitude is not a passive emotion. It is an active force. It is the very frequency of abundance. When you practice gratitude, you are performing a powerful act of mental alchemy. It is impossible to feel genuine gratitude and, at the same time, feel lack, fear, or entitlement. Gratitude automatically tunes your mind to the frequency of plenty. It shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. And by the universal law of attraction, the mind that is focused on plenty attracts more plenty. The 9 lepers, by focusing only on their new life, operated from a mindset of receiving something they were owed. The 10th leper, by focusing on the source of his new life, operated from a mindset of receiving a gift. The first mindset closes the door for future blessings. The second throws it wide open. This understanding of gratitude as a strategic advantage, not just a social nicety, is a secret known by the top 10% in every field. If you want to learn more of the principles that separate the one-time winners from the lifetime achievers, make sure you are subscribed to this channel, as this is the core of our work. Napoleon Hill observed that a grateful leader inspires loyalty. A grateful entrepreneur attracts repeat customers. A grateful investor makes decisions from a place of calm abundance, not frantic scarcity. The 10th leper's gratitude was his demonstration that he was a good steward of the miracle he had received, and the universe, or God, always gives more responsibility and more resources to the good stewards. His gratitude was the proof that he could be trusted with the wholeness that the others were not yet ready for. This, then, is the 10% advantage. It is the wisdom to understand that the victory is not the end of the transaction. It is the beginning of a relationship. The healing, the new client, the promotion, that is the initial gift. Your gratitude is the act of plugging that gift back into the source, ensuring the power continues to flow. The 9 treated their healing as a withdrawal from the bank. The 10th treated it as an investment that would yield dividends for the rest of his life. Now we understand the what and the why. We know the secret is gratitude, but how exactly do we practice it? How do we turn this polite sentiment into a powerful daily tool for multiplying our own victories? For that, we need a practical method. Understanding that gratitude is a strategic advantage is the beginning of wisdom. But to truly harness its power, we must move it from a fleeting feeling to a deliberate, disciplined practice. Napoleon Hill was a master at turning profound principles into practical, step-by-step methods. If he were to analyze the actions of the 10th leper, he would codify it into what we can call the gratitude method, a 3-step ritual to perform after every single victory, no matter how large or small. This method is your insurance policy against the 90% mistake. It is the practical how-to for turning a single victory into a sustained winning streak. Step 1. Acknowledge the source. The very first thing the 10th leper did was turn back. Before he ran to his family, before he celebrated, he returned to the source of his healing. This is the first and most critical discipline. The moment you achieve a victory, you close the deal, you get the promotion, you reach the goal, your first action must be to pause and acknowledge the source of that success. This is an act of profound humility that prevents the arrogance and entitlement that plagued the other 9. For Napoleon Hill, this meant acknowledging infinite intelligence, the universal source of all good ideas and power. For the leper, it was Jesus. For you, it may be God, the universe, your mastermind alliance, your own subconscious mind, or the mentors who guided you. The practical action is to, in the very moment of success, take 60 seconds of silence. In that silence, consciously bring to mind the forces, seen and unseen, that contributed to your win. This simple act keeps your ego in check, and most importantly, keeps the channel to that source of power wide open. You are signaling that you know you did not do it alone, which is the prerequisite for receiving continued help. Step 2. Verbalize the gratitude. The 10th leper didn't just feel thankful. The scripture says he praised God with a loud voice. He externalized his gratitude. He turned the internal feeling into an external decree. This is a direct application of Hill's principle of autosuggestion. The subconscious mind is powerfully influenced by the words you speak with emotion. Your second discipline, therefore, is to create a gratitude decree. This is a short, powerful statement you speak aloud after acknowledging the source. It could be something like, I am deeply and profoundly grateful to the source for this victory. Name the specific victory. I accept it as evidence that the laws of success are working in my favor, and I declare that this is only the beginning of even greater things to come. By speaking this aloud, you are doing 2 things. You are programming your own subconscious mind, reinforcing the identity of a winner and creating a belief system of expectation for more success. And you are broadcasting a powerful frequency of gratitude out into the universe, a frequency that, by law, must attract more circumstances for which to be grateful. Step 3. Use the victory as a platform. This is the step that creates the momentum. The 10th leper, after giving thanks, was told, rise and go. He was not told to build a shrine and stay there. He was sent back into the world, now made whole, empowered for the next phase of his life. Your final discipline is to immediately ask yourself, how can I use the energy, the resources, or the confidence from this victory to take the next step toward my major purpose? This is the direct opposite of the finish line mentality. It is the strategic reinvestment of success. If your victory was a financial bonus, you immediately allocate a portion of it to an investment that aligns with your definite purpose. If your victory was landing a new client, you use the confidence from that win to immediately call the next, even bigger prospect. If your victory was finishing a project, you use the clarity you gain to outline the next one. This practice turns every victory from a conclusion into a commencement. It is your declaration that you are not just a one-hit wonder, but a creator of continuous success. Acknowledge the source to stay humble, verbalize the gratitude to program your mind, and use the victory as a platform to create momentum. This is the 3-part method that separates the 10% from the rest. And when you make this your automatic response to every success, you stop living a life of isolated wins and begin to experience something far more powerful, a self-perpetuating cycle of abundance. We have arrived at the final and most profound lesson from the parable of the 10 lepers. We have seen the two paths that diverge after every victory. The path of the 90%, which leads to a temporary celebration and an eventual return to the status quo, and the path of the 10%, which leads to a deeper wholeness and a greater power. The difference between these two paths is a single strategic act, the act of gratitude. But the result of this act is not just a deeper, one-time blessing. When you practice the gratitude method consistently, you initiate something far more powerful. You stop living a life of isolated transactional victories, and you start living inside a gratitude cycle. A cycle, by definition, is a self-perpetuating system. It is an engine that uses its own output as its fuel, and the gratitude cycle is the engine of all sustained and compounding success. Here is how it works. First, you achieve a victory. Second, you immediately apply the 3 disciplines of the gratitude method. You acknowledge the source with humility, you verbalize your gratitude with power, and you use the victory as a platform for your next step with strategy. This completes one rotation of the cycle. But it is this very act of strategic gratitude that generates the power for the next rotation. By acknowledging the source, you strengthen your relationship with the forces of creation, making it more likely that they will work with you again. By verbalizing your gratitude, you program your subconscious mind with the identity of a winner, making you more alert and receptive to the next opportunity. And by using your victory as a platform, you create immediate momentum, making the next victory easier to achieve than the last. This creates a positive feedback loop. Your gratitude for your current victory is the very act that magnetizes the next victory into your experience. And when that next victory arrives, you apply the same method, which in turn attracts an even greater victory. Success stops being a series of random, disconnected events and becomes a predictable, compounding upward spiral. This is what it means to have a life of abundance. Abundance is not a large, single amount. It is a continuous, uninterrupted flow. And gratitude is the mechanism that keeps the channel open. When you live inside this cycle, your entire relationship with success changes. You lose the scarcity mindset that plagues the 90%, the anxious fear that this might be my last win. That fear is replaced by a calm and joyful expectation. You no longer hope for success. You expect it, because you understand that you are an active participant in a reliable system of creation. This is the ultimate mindset that Napoleon Hill discovered in his research. The men who built empires were not just lucky, they were masters of this cycle. They treated every success not as a reason to celebrate the end of a race, but as a refueling station for the next leg of the journey. Their positive mental attitude, powered by gratitude, created a force field of momentum around them that made their continued success seem inevitable to the outside world. This is the power that is available to you. This is the choice that lies before you after every achievement, every goal met, every prayer answered. This is the mindset of the master achiever, the 10%. And it's the mindset we are committed to helping you build right here. If you are ready to stop living a life of one-off wins and start building your own cycle of abundance, then make sure you are subscribed, because this is the work we do every single week. The choice is yours. Will you be like the 9 and let your next victory be a finish line? Or will you be like the 1 and make it a starting gate for a lifetime of ever-expanding wholeness and success? The next time you achieve a win, no matter how small, remember the leper who turned back. Pause, acknowledge, verbalize, and reinvest. Start the cycle.